Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of my Krosmaster Jr. video game series. In this second video, I'm going to show you some gameplay from Krosmaster Jr. I'm going to go ahead and show you the fourth adventure, which is a pretty cool adventure. What it is it doesn't allow the Krosmasters to attack each other, but what each Krosmaster is trying to do is they're trying to locate their pets, which have been captured, put in cages, and the first player to find all 3 of their captured pets and return to their starting point, or one of any of the starting points, is going to be the winner of the adventure. They're going to score the 3 victory points, and the other player is going to continue to race. Whoever gets their pets second gets 2 victory points, and the final player, and if this was a 4-player game, the 4th player would also get 1 remaining victory point, or a gallon of glory as the game likes to call it. And since this is the 4th adventure in the series, this adventure does have some of the rules added into the game. So we do have the ability to lock players. If we roll a die and we happen to get a magnet and they don't get a boot, they're not going to be able to move for the rest of the turn. We can't attack each other, but we can definitely attack these cages, and all these cages are going to be randomized. And 3 of these cages happen to be a pet matching that Krosmaster. And again, you need to find all 3 of your pets and make it back to one of these little starting locations. So once we've shuffled up all these cages in a way that we don't know which cage is ours and which cage belongs to which Krosmaster, we simply place them all out on the board. And since this is only a 3-player game, there's going to be 3 extra cages which happen to belong to the Krosmaster who's not in the game. If you happen to get one of those, you're going to leave it face down, and hopefully it'll be enough to trick one of the other Krosmaster to go after it. And the way the rules work in adventure number 4 is you're going to basically come up to a cage, you're going to hit it, and if you do a point of damage, you're going to be able to look and see what kind of pet is actually trapped there. Unfortunately, the 4th adventure, the critical hit rules are not involved yet, so we can't roll a critical hit and be able to actually do 2 points of damage to each cage. But with the first point of damage, we can have a sneak peek, see which happens to be which one of the pets is trapped in that cage. And if it's one of ours, obviously we're going to do another attack on a future turn to free it. And again, once we free all 3 pets, assuming this is one of ours, we put them all in our little treasure chest, make it back to a starting area, and again, we are the winner of adventure number 4. The first thing we need to do is figure out exactly which Krosmaster happens to go first, and I happen to have, luckily, color-coded dice to match, so white dice for the old guy, blue die for the wizard, and the pink die for the panda. And what we're looking for is we're looking for a Dofu symbol, and whoever happens to get a Dofu symbol first is going to be the player who happens to go first, and then we're just going to continue around in a clockwise manner. And hopefully I'm not going to be stuck here rolling for a long time, and I'm not. Looks like the old man gets to be the first Krosmaster who happens to go first. The first Krosmaster is going to be Kip, and remember you get to move up to 3 squares because we have 3 movement points, no diagonal movements allowed, and again that's just like Krosmaster Arena. And the reason why I keep throwing those references back in there is trying to show you the similarities between Junior and also full Krosmaster Arena, so you can see the similarities and the slight differences and why this is more of a Junior kind of game. So we'll start off with Kip. He gets to move up to 3 spaces. We'll go 1, 2 movement, and then we're going to go ahead and attack this cage. We secretly look at this cage and see if it happens to be a pet matching our color. And we're pretty fortunate. We see a yellow pet, so we know that this is one pet we got a free. We did 1 point of damage to this cage, so we're going to mark it with 1 damage token, and that's going to be the end of Kip's turn. We're going to go ahead and move over to Tiktokovich, and he gets to start his turn. He's going to move up to 3 if he wants. He's going to move 1, 2, attack this cage, and he's going to go ahead and reveal exactly what this cage is. We see that's a pink pet, which belongs to the panda. We're just not going to tell the panda player that, and we're going to end our turn. We get to move up to the panda player, moves up to 3. We're going to do 2 movement. Hit the cage. We're going to see that this cage happens to belong to Tiktokovich. We're not going to let him know, of course. Once we secretly see what it is, we're going to do the 1 point of damage, and then we're going to go ahead and end our turn, and then we go back to Kip. Now Kip knows that this cage happens to be one of his pets, so he's going to go ahead and attack it again, and he's going to do 1 point of damage, and he's going to reveal to the other players that he's now found one of his pets. He's going to put it in his treasure box. He now only needs to find 2 more pets, and then he can potentially win this adventure. Kip then gets his movement points, because remember, movement points and action points are interchangeable. You can use one or the other throughout your turn, just as long as you don't burn through all of them, because once you burn through all of them, obviously your turn is over. So since we did our action, we're going to go ahead and move. We're going to move 1, 2, 3. That way we are in position to go ahead and check that next chest on our next turn. Move over to Tiktokovich. He's going to move 1, 2, because remember, he doesn't know this is his pet, and he's trying to hedge his bets. So then go ahead and do 1 point of damage to this cage. Flip it over. We're going to see that is another pet belonging to the panda. Not going to tell the panda what we found. We're going to do 1 point of damage to this cage. That's the end of Tiktokovich's turn, and then we're going to go back to the panda, who's going to go ahead and move 1, 2, point of damage. Check to see what we got, and we're going to see that this is a pet belonging to the Krosmaster, who was not in the game. We're just not going to tell the other players that, because hopefully we're going to hope they're going to waste their time attacking that cage. Now we move back to Kip's turn. He knows not what's in this cage, so he's going to go ahead and attack it. He's going to flip it over and see that this one belongs to Tiktakovich. Not going to reveal that to Tiktakovich. We're going to do 1 point of damage. And then since we don't need to be near this cage, we're going to go ahead and move over, which is going to telegraph to the other players that we know this is at least a pet not belonging to them. So we're going to move 1, 2, and we'll actually just stay there. So next turn we can check one of these cages. We'll move over to Tiktakovich now. He's going to move 1, 2, check this cage right here. And see, again, it doesn't match any of the players who are currently in the game. So it's going to take 1 point of damage. We're going to be done, and we're going to move over to the panda, who's now going to move 1, 2, 3. Check this cage right here, and we already know because of earlier, but we're going to know this is one of our pets, so we're going to add it into our treasure chest. And that's going to end the turn for a panda player. We're now going to move back to Kip's turn. Kip will attack this cage right here. See that it's a pet that belongs to Tiktakovich. Flip it back face down. We're done with that. We're going to go ahead and take our movement. Do 1, 2. We're going to stop right there and move over to Tiktakovich, who's not having much luck, not knowing that everybody else is finding his pets, even though he isn't. He's going to flip over this one, see that this one belongs to Kip. Do the point of damage. That's going to end our turn, and we go back to the panda, who now needs to figure out exactly what they want to do. They're going to go ahead and move 1, 2, hit this cage. It's now going to take its second point of damage. We're going to look to see exactly what it is, and it happens to match our panda. So she now has 2 of her pets. She's just about to win the game as long as she can find her third panda. Now we move over to Kip. Kip is going to go ahead and check the cage right next to him and find out exactly what we're going to see. And we're going to see that it is his second pet. So now he has 2 of his 3 pets. Of course, he doesn't know his third pet's over here, so he needs to finish his turn, spend 1 of his movement points, and he's going to try to check one of these 2 cages on his next turn. And now we get to go back to Tiktakovich, who's going to go ahead and attack this cage and see exactly what it is. We're going to see that this happens to be the third pet for the panda player. Not the pet that Tiktakovich needs, so he needs to continue to search. This treasure chest is, or this cage is now taking a point of damage, so he's going to go ahead and move now. He's going to move 1, 2, and now that since he's next to another Krosmaster, there's a chance he got locked, which means he's going to lose the last of his movement points. So what he needs to do is he needs to roll, and the panda needs to roll. Now the panda is looking for a magnet, and Tiktakovich is looking for a boot if the panda happens to get a magnet. So we roll, and we get a Dofu symbol, which means she can pick exactly which face is going to be showing. So she's going to flip it to the magnet side. But luckily, Tiktakovich got the boot and the critical hit. He's going to flip it to the boot since he gets a choice to decide what it's going to be. So the boot cancels the magnet. He doesn't lose his last remaining movement point. He gets to move. That ends his turn, and now we come up to the panda. She's going to go ahead and move 1 space. Check this chest to see exactly what's inside it. And we already know that it belongs to Kip, but she didn't know that at that time. This chest now takes its second point of damage, remains face down, and that's going to end her turn. We come right back to Kip. For Kip's turn, Kip is going to go ahead and check this cage over here and figure out exactly who is hiding in that cage. We see that it's one of the pets belonging to the Krosmaster who's not in the game. They're going to mark it for 1 point of damage, and they're going to go ahead and move, so they're in a good position for their next turn. Now we're going to move back to Tiktakovich, who's going to move 1, 2, 3. He's going to go ahead and check this cage and see that it is one of his pets. He needs 2 more pets, and then he can potentially win the game. And now we go back over to the panda, who's already checked this cage, so she's going to go ahead and move over here and check this cage and see exactly who is hiding there. We see that it's the pet of the player who's not in the game. So we mark with the second point of damage, and then we move back to Kip. He's going to check this cage right here. And we know this belongs to the player who's not in the game. That cage is going to get its second point of damage. And then he's going to go ahead and move 1, 2, 3. And that ends Kip's turn. Tiktakovich is going to go ahead and take his turn. He's going to move 1, 2, 3. He isn't next to any cages, so he can't search them. That's going to end his turn. Then we move to the panda. She's going to move 1 space, and she's going to go ahead and check this cage right here, which happens to be her third pet. Now she can go ahead and win the game. Since she only moved 1 space and then used an action, she still has 2 movement points left, so she's going to go ahead and move 1, 2 spaces, and that ends her turn, and now we come back to Kip. Kip is going to move 1, 2, checking this cage, not knowing exactly what it is, and figures out or finds out it's not his pet. That's going to end his turn. Tiktakovich is going to move 1, 2, 3, checking this cage and seeing that it's not his pet. That's going to end his turn. And then we're going to move back to the panda, who's going to move 1, 2 spaces, scoring 3 gallons of glory. They're going to be removed from the board. And then that player gets to mark their score sheet over here with 3 victory points. And that ends that player's turn, and they're out of their game. Now these 2 players just need to fight for 2nd and 3rd place. Kip moves 1 space, checks this chest right here, sees that it's his final remaining pet, and then he's going to move 2 spaces. That ends his turn, and now it's up to Tiktokovich, who realizes that he's pretty much lost this game, but at least he's going to score 1 victory point. And remember, we're going to add up all the victory points for all the adventures at the end to figure out who the final winner is. Tiktokovich is going to check this chest and realize that it's not theirs. They're going to go ahead and move 1 space, ending their turn. Kip is going to move 2 spaces, exiting the map, and then he's going to go ahead and score 2 victory points, which means Tiktokovich is going to score 1 victory point. That ends our adventure, and that's exactly how Krosmaster Jr. is played. If we had decided beforehand that we were all going to play the first 4 adventures, what we do is add up all our victory points and see that the Panda player happens to have 7 victory points. Tiktokovich happens to have, can't read my own handwriting for some strange reason, 8 victory points. And then Kip happens to have 9 victory points. So the grand victor is going to be Kip with 9 gallons of glory. Tiktokovich is going to come in 2nd with 8. And finally, the Panda is going to come in 3rd place with 7 victory points. And that's a complete game of Krosmaster Jr. played out. As you can see, each individual adventure is pretty darn quick. I think that's probably a total of maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes of total gameplay with a 3-player game. Of course, I was playing pretty quick, but just trying to give you an idea of how the game plays. If you wanted to and you decided in advance that you want to go through all 7 adventures, you just keep going, continue to add up all the scores, and whoever has the most gallons of glory after you've determined or gone through the predetermined amount of adventures is going to be the grand winner. I hope you enjoyed this sample gameplay for Krosmaster Jr. Stay tuned for part 3, where I'll give you my final thoughts on Krosmaster Jr.